They roll coverage.
Great win for the boys. Great win for the Panthers. I know how hard they've been working to improve some of our just fundamental details, really in all phases, and to see the hard work pay off with the execution that we saw. I was just really proud of that. I just love when we stick with our processes, when we stick to our plan, and then you see results and you see guys continuing to improve individually, but then also collectively as a group, executing together, communicating together. And it was great to be able to point to those things that we've been emphasizing, and for it to all come together.
Hell yes, dude. It's finally time to celebrate a Carolina Panthers win. And you know what? Let's just take our day. Let's just enjoy it. You deserve a drink. You deserve the day off. Whatever it is, you deserve it. Carolina got out of this game in a way that, to be honest, might completely shake up this division. The Bucs look like they are absolutely beatable. The Falcons look like they might just be beating themselves. And maybe the Carolina Panthers might be taking that next step. Hey, I'm not going to lie. I'm fine with Bryce being a game manager. If it ends up getting us wins, I don't care. He needs to go out there and do exactly what he did in this last game, which was limit the turnovers and stay on the field on offense. Limit the amount of time that the defense has to be out there. This way, when they are out there, they can go 100%. I loved the overall execution, like he said, tackling and everything. So overall, this is a big win in my mind. Again, I still have some concerns, but for the most part, I'm happy with this win. Hopefully you are too.
What did the MRIs show on JT?
We'll give all that update on Wednesday.
Ask you last week how the results of the surgery went for Rob, and you said you were going to update us on their timelines.
Yeah, so Rob's surgery was successful, and it was to repair the biceps tendon, and it's going to be a long time. We're looking, at maybe end of the season type of a return, but again, that's all going to just depend on how his recovery process is. And Austin did not have surgery. Right now, he's rehabbing that, and it's closer to. I guess the number I got was 6 to 8 weeks, in that range. But different guys heal at different rates, and he's had similar injuries before, so I think he has a process and kind of knows how to approach that and attack it. And we'll take it week to week.
Okay, so that means we lose our number one highest paid player on this team, I think, with Robert Hunt. Top tier guard, to be honest. I have my concerns with him, but I want a speedy recovery and everything. And losing him for the year completely changes this offense, especially because it forces a guy like Chandler Zavala to go out there, who, again, is still dealing with the partially torn patella. He looked fine for the most part, but that's obviously something to monitor. Austin Corbett not getting the surgery means that it's not completely torn off the bone, which means it's going to take 6 to 8 weeks at minimum to try and get him back on the field. He's hoping that it might be sooner, but if that's the case, he's coming back to be the backup center. I don't think that Corbs can immediately come back in if Cade Mays has been doing his job like he did in this Falcons game. So overall, I think these injuries hurt the team, but at the same time, I think there's going to be a little bit of a benefit at the center position. So many people wanted Cade Mays back, and now that he's back, it looks a little bit better, to be honest. Less issues that we saw from the center and the quarterback connection. So maybe there was something to that whole thing before.
Surgery at some point, is he kind of considering that?
I'm not sure. Yeah.
On the injury front, Xavier didn't play. What's an update on Xavier?
Yeah, we'll give you guys the updates on Wednesday.
Speaking of, he talked about Jatavian Sanders, but I'm really going to touch on that later in the press conference. I'm assuming that he's just going to say, we're going to wait till Wednesday, we're going to wait till Wednesday, we're going to wait till Wednesday. So most of these injury things I'm going to kind of gloss over for the most part now, and then we'll revisit them at the end.
In the past, or at least last season, the game ball for you was something that you said wasn't necessarily your approach. But I noticed last night you received one. What can you take us through that moment and even how you may approach that throughout the season?
So yeah, just in case you guys don't know, Canales doesn't like giving out the game balls. That's just not his thing. Then the team decided to give Canales a game ball. So Canales really, I guess, enjoyed that. I hope he's not negative with it, but
I was just really grateful. I think that just collectively as a group, we've been pushing on and really striving for playing good football. And for me, in that moment, they give me the game ball. I'm super proud that at the same time, while I'm always thinking of pouring into our guys, they're also there to encourage me and challenge me, and they'll bring things up to me too. So I was really thankful that they chose that. But as far as giving out game balls, that's just not something that I've done. That's not really something that I've been around very much. And so for me, I think, when we have success after games and wins, if I had 12 game balls, I'd give them all out. We just like to rattle off the guys that made significant impacts on the games one by one and make sure they're recognized in front of their teammates.
hell yeah, Dave. Obviously, people don't love the rah-rah, but with a win like this, I think it takes a lot of heat off of you. Now we just need to see it translate into this Patriots game. If we return back to what we were in game 1 and 2, then people might look at week 3 as an aberration. Right now, though, again, all props, man. 30-0 with a division rival. Fantastic ending. Nobody predicted that for sure.
You've had 3 pretty high variance sort of games. Yeah. When you have those variables and not like maybe a traditional back and forth close game, yeah, how difficult is it to kind of find what you guys have or figure out what talent is there, what play calling needs to be adjusted, etc.? That
is a challenge. I think it's a great question because when you get those back and forth field position type of games, which, this game early on, it was kind of that way. And then, as we made a couple of big defensive plays and the score got out of line, then they kind of went into a different mode. Yep. So we need more information about who we are, about what's working for us and learning our players. And we need all these games, to be able to accumulate all the first downs, the second and shorts, the second and longs, the 2-minute drives, different third down situations and all that on both sides and in the kicking game as well, so it's a good point.
Yeah, and to be honest, the I'm taking data in is a Dave staple. If you were following me last year, especially during the whole Bryce benching situation, every week he was going into press conferences getting the question, when is Bryce going to return to the lineup? And his response was, we need more data. I need more time. I need more information. That's his go-to answer whenever he kind of wants to push something down the road. So that's just something to take into account moving forwards.
Procedural and kind of a planning standpoint, a lot was talked about Atlanta's pass rush and what they did the week before. You guys seem to find ways of kind of mitigating that with movement. From the process standpoint, how do you guys think you did, at least from a pre-planning perspective?
Yeah, I thought we could just use the information that was available to us in the first 2 games. There was some carryover, a little bit of carryover from last year, but I felt like, with Jeff Ulbrich being there, Raheem brought him in for a reason, and so there was a different flavor. There was a little bit different signature, and our guys did a really good job of picking up some of the issues. They got us on one. Bryce kind of threw a low ball to T-Mac, and Bates was free. They schemed that pressure up really well. And I thought besides that, I thought Bryce just made great decisions. He mitigated some of those challenges by getting the ball out quickly or by just getting us to a run or different types of solutions. So he used his toolbox well. And then it was just really well executed. Joe Gilbert does our protections, the O-line. Cade did a fantastic job getting us targeted. And I thought Chuba and Rico did an excellent job playing physical in the interior.
Absolutely, man. This was an execution masterclass for Carolina, especially compared to what we saw in week 1 and week 2. Now, as we move forward, again, these are the games that we need to be able to compete in. To be honest, I really genuinely thought that the Cowboys might be a problem, but CeeDee Lamb won't even be on that team when we go against the Cowboys. I think it's winnable. I think there's a lot of games moving forwards that are winnable, especially if we're able to play like this. I do think that there is something to the idea that the Falcons couldn't really get their offense going, so we didn't really get the full Falcons experience. I'm not really sure what happened to Michael Penix. It looked like he just shrunk. It looked like he couldn't get stuff done. That lateral pass that ended up in Shaw Smith Wade's hands is one that can't be thrown as an NFL quarterback. So I think there's obviously something going on there. I do think that they have a decent pass rush. I honestly think they have a decent secondary too. But when you knock them off of their offensive game, it completely changes how they interact with everything moving forward. And especially when you get up early points, you have to completely alter what you're doing. Carolina knows this very well. We're normally on the other side of it, having to change our game plan because we're already down, say, 14 at the end of the first. So the shoe is finally on the other foot. And you know what? I'm happy. I'm walking nicer. This is got orthotics in it or something, man.
Injuries played a role in who plays and how much, but you asked after the first game to get the young guys in there more, and we saw a big uptick in that last week or this Sunday. What are you noticing about the play of these young guys? How is that helping you, benefiting you?
Yeah, I'm really proud of the way that they're just developing and they're working. I think about just picking one guy, Nick Scorton, who really he works his butt off in practice, and he gives everything he has. He's taking the coaching and the principles. And is it perfect? No, but he learns lessons. He continues to stack lessons. And I can say that, generally for our young group, that they're taking the challenges the right way. They're taking coaching, and it's a trust factor thing, and the trust level will continue to grow with these guys as they show us we can count on them to get in there and execute.
Speaking of one of those young guys, I wanted to ask you about one particular play with T-Mac and then also get your general comments about how he's played so far. But the play was, Bryce said yesterday that he told T-Mac to do one thing on that deep ball in the third quarter, and T-Mac adjusts and almost makes the catch, but Bryce said that was 100% on him. What happened there?
I'll keep that kind of behind closed door, but there was a little bit of miscommunication on that play, yes. And I think T-Mac just in general, I've been very pleased with how he's taking to the concepts, to the alignments and the details of what we're asking him. He'd come up here and tell you he'd love to have a few of those plays back, that were bang bang plays. And got to give the Falcons players credit. They were in phase, making plays with their hands on the ball, and T-Mac feels like he can make those plays. And so I love that he takes accountability for those things as an area for him to improve and to strive towards.
Absolutely, especially because the knock on him coming out of the draft was he doesn't want to work on tape. They were talking about quotes from years ago where Tetairoa was like, yeah, man, I'm basically the best athlete out there. I don't need to watch tape kind of thing. But of course, when you're in high school, you don't watch tape. That's just not a thing. Maybe at a top flight IMG style high school, sure. But it's not really until college until you really start to get those full breakdowns like people are doing, where you're actually going into linebacker meetings, quarterback meetings, the whole bit. I genuinely think that all of the hype around Tetairoa wasn't enough. He's truly the best big receiver out of this draft. Maybe not the best receiver. I think Egbuka is still probably going to be high up there, especially now that the Bucs are out Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. Egbuka's immediately the one, so we're going to see that. I just think Tetairoa has solidified himself as a wide receiver one, and I'm super, super happy that Carolina has him. I don't care about the stupid plays now. This is his rookie season. Give me, 800 plus receiving yards and 80 plus receptions, and I'm happy. I think Tetairoa truly is going to be the wide receiver not only for this team for the future, but has an argument maybe one day for the best Carolina Panthers receiver ever. And again, I'm saying that after week 3 of his rookie season. I think it's going to be amazing, man.
How encouraged were you by the tackling performance, and after reviewing the film, what were some that stood out?
Yeah, it was excellent. I think in the run game, first and foremost, it was just a well-executed plan where guys were playing together and they were trusting each other, playing their leverage and not trying to play out of scheme. So I thought they did that well. It was team tackling. We kind of talked about that early in the week, with an amazing player like Bijan Robinson and some of the other skill players that they have as well, who run with physicality or have some shiftiness to them. The guys rallied up. The guys maintained their leverage and then team tackled. And I thought the thing that stood out to me was just like the check downs, the flat routes. Obviously, we had the interception for a touchdown, but then there were just some amazing deep to short guys coming out of their shoes when the ball was gone, and that's all about effort. That's want to. And I love the way we showed up. Trey Merritt kind of stands out in my mind, coming downhill and just finishing physically, playing with leverage and making sure he got the tackle. Shaw had a couple of nice ones too.
Absolutely, and not just the defensive guys. Shout out to Shaw Smith-Wade. Shout out to Lathan Ransom. Nick Scorton, honestly, he was like the 5th most double pressured person in the league. So, dude is absolutely already paying dividends as a 2nd round pick. But I also want to say it on the offensive side of the ball. We're seeing how those extra effort things are translating into opportunities on the field, i.e. Bryce and Tremaine, man. There are so many opportunities. I posted the video yesterday in the Xavier Leggett, soft benching. I think that Bryson Tremaine is genuinely already a better wide receiver than Xavier Leggett because of the extra stuff he does, the extra effort, being involved in the run game, being actively involved in blocking. I love the extra stuff. And now with the Jatavian Sanders injury from before, Mitchell Evans is going to get that opportunity. Another guy that is incredibly committed in the run game. In fact, he was our highest rated offensive player in the 2nd and I believe the 3rd week. If not, I think he was the 2nd in one of those weeks. So the dude is absolutely able to do stuff. Obviously, limited snap count, but it tells us that there's something more to see there with these guys.
I feel you have a DB room that is like completely willing to do what you're talking about right there.
Absolutely. They're committed to each other. They're committed to a style of play, and I think that when they hold each other, I believe the standards that they set for each other is what compels them to show up aggressively.
Reference this after the game, but the kickoff coverage and landing in that
What a weird way to rub his eye, right? I'm sorry.
landing zone and getting all of that is really showing up. What do you attribute that to? And like yesterday, as an example, it looked like the Falcons weren't sure what was coming.
Yeah, I got to give Tracy a lot of credit for just kind of finding out the alignments of their return units and where they were putting their returners at, and then it's really but the confidence that he has in Ryan showing us that he could try to hit different spots with different types of balls, different flight patterns, some different things that we've been trying on. It's an aggressive approach, because obviously you're trying to hit that landing zone from different angles, and I love the fact that we just went for it. And then to have the coverage unit be such that you can put the ball anywhere and these guys are going to run with their hair on fire. And if someone's just out of a lane, someone's going to cover for them. And that's all effort as well. It's the assignments. It's talking through what happens if this guy gets out of his lane. We need to make up for it. But then it's also just comes down to flat out effort and guys flying in to show up where somebody might have gotten doubled. And so it was really, we watched all the kickoff coverages as a team just to show the spirit of our play style. I truly believe that kickoff coverage kind of exemplifies who we want to be, and I believe in that. That's why I love special teams, but especially on kickoff, especially when you can start the game with a kick, to be able to show the effort, the enthusiasm after great plays of them celebrating the toughness, playing smart off of each other, and then finishing each play.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, Ryan Fitzgerald to the freaking moon. I told everybody so early that I didn't give a shit about the kicking battle in Carolina because for me, it was over. The minute we got Ryan Fitzgerald, I was done deciding on a kicker. I mean, dude is top 5 in a bunch of stats all time for the Florida State Seminoles. Dude was, I think, 3rd all time with field goals made of 50 yards or more. So, of course, he goes out there and busts a 56-yarder. Man, I love this. I love what he's doing with that little knuckleball, too, on kickoff. I think there's so much potential here, and I'm glad that this team is finally seeing what I've been saying, man. Ryan Fitzgerald is hopefully going to be our kicker for the next decade. He might have his issues on occasion. Every kicker does. But so far, he is perfect in the NFL.
Yes.
To follow up on Nick's question about tackling, Trevin Wallace seems to kind of had a 180 over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
What are you seeing from him? What have the conversations been like? And also, why do you think he's been able to kind of turn things around so quickly?
Yeah, time on task. And I think I know that Trevin is a very smart player, and the more comfortable he gets playing in our schemes, the more aggressive, the more big, like he's naturally 250-ish pounds. He can flat out fly, and he's got a real heaviness and aggressiveness to the way he plays. And the more he's comfortable, the more we see that guy. We talk about guys showing their personality as they play. I know they know what they're doing. They're focused and ready to go. I just thought he used his hands a lot better, just striking, punching, getting off of blocks. And that all just comes with his level of comfort being out there, hearing the calls and executing.
Yeah, to be honest, that was one of Trevin's concerns coming out of college, and that's the one that I've continued to beat the table about. Trevin Wallace doesn't really understand the NFL game and the X's and O's. I think him and I are kind of in the same boat. We get it, but I don't really get it to the NFL quarterback level. I don't truly get adjusting the coverages and the whole bit. But at the same time, hey, he has the resources. You have guys that are teaching you the game at a high level. So now that we're starting to see him get it, all of those intangibles come into play at a much more exponential rate. Like he said, big, strong, fast. Yeah, that's what he was out of college. But they also said that he couldn't process the NFL game, and it would take time for him to develop. I'm glad that now in year 3 that he's finally starting to get it. Obviously, the tackling was a concern. He gave up a lot of just stupid missed tackles in games 1 and 2. And it's slowly turned around. But at the same time, I need to see it a little bit longer, man. I believe that you can do it. I need to see you compile that for multiple weeks and not do the roller coaster up and down like I've seen previously.
Dave, you've been asked a lot over the last year and even the beginning of the season about Jero and his scheme, and you've continuously said how much you like the scheme. And you look over the last really 6 quarters since that opening drive for Arizona 8 days ago, and that's been a unit that's really played well. What has really changed with that unit overall that's led to this success in your mind?
Communication, execution. This is a defense that I've coached against for years, and it's a very the defense by principles is to try to eliminate explosives, and then you got to rally up, though. If you're going to be playing to eliminate explosives, you got to rally up and show up in the run game, and you have to be disciplined about how you fit. So that means everybody's got to be locked in. And so I know that Ajero and his staff, they have the answers, and I know that as we communicate together, those players who are out there talking to each other, trusting each other in the fits, and that's how you execute.
Yeah, absolutely. And the simple execution is what was missing in game 1. And to be honest, we could have been out of game 2 with a win if we got simple executions on defense. Tackling has been a big issue for this team. But in this game, it seemed like everybody was hitting on all cylinders. I think it could be also the infusion of a rivalry game. So let's see again how that translates on the road this week in New England. But I liked what I saw from the defense overall, regardless of Dave's face.
And that this is a week-to-week league. The way that you guys finished the game last week, do you feel like that kind of led into what the performance that you guys had this week?
I think everything matters. I think all of these moments, they count, and confidence grows as we learn who we are and what we can count on. And I try to ask the players, and I'll do this every once in a while in our meetings on a Saturday night or during the week. What can we count on from your group? And somebody will say, hey, you can count on this from us. And then as it happens and as it comes alive, that's when that trust factor and confidence really starts to build. We know who we are. We know what we're becoming. And that second half in the Arizona game was a big moment for us, for the defense playing well, getting us the ball back, the offense going down, scoring points, and then the coverage units and the return units playing well together, and obviously the onside kick, being able to get that back to give us a chance. The execution and all that, it builds confidence and breeds confidence. And the guys just took a real focus to this week, came out ready to play. And I'm really proud of them. And it all came from them. It all came from the guys talking to each other, challenging each other.
Yeah, because Dave is not the guy that goes in there and screams at people. Dave is the rah-rah guy. Dave is the guy that's always going to be cheering you on no matter what. 0 sacks in 17 games or 17 sacks in 5 games. He's going to be cheering you on. So he's waiting for guys to step up in those leadership roles. In fact, losing Robert Hunt in the previous breakdown, he said that he still expects guys like Corbett and Robert Hunt to be in the locker room on a regular basis, affecting this team's morale. So if that's the case, we're continuing to move down the path of player motivation, which is great, but that there's also times where players demotivate teams or are stricken with, the yips. They can't figure it out. They can't do it right now, whatever it may be. So I'm curious to see how that goes throughout the year and whether or not the idea of just hardening the leadership from inside the locker room is the way to do it, or whether or not I actually need a quarterback and a head coach that maybe wants to push this team a little bit more rather than, hey, man, you should be, figuring out how to motivate yourself. I don't know. Tell me your thoughts in the comments. This is the one part of Dave's game that I don't necessarily love.
This morning's Monday film session seemed different in terms of the players' energy, mood coming in compared to the last couple weeks, or did they seem to just kind of turn the page already and look towards another game this coming weekend?
Oh no, we're celebrating the heck out of it right now. I mean, they're in there watching their plays. There's a lot to learn from. It wasn't a perfect game. We left some stuff out there offensively. Defensively, we let some things get out of there, but come out of the game offensively without a turnover. Obviously, we had the punt that we put on the ground. We'd love to have 0 turnovers for the game. There's a lot to learn from in this, and so we have to be really tough, really disciplined about making sure we continue to push our football forward and improve. But you also have to enjoy these wins. Wins are hard to come by in the NFL, and they're all earned. And so, but we'll take this moment to enjoy it, and then right when these meetings end, we're flipping the switch and we're ready to go up to New England and focus on our new opponent.
Hell yeah, I agree with that, Dave. You know what? Mad props to that. Enjoy it, like I've said, with everybody. Take this win, take the day off, do whatever you need to do, celebrate it. Because like you said, this win was earned. We went out there and put up 30 on the Falcons, who, again, I even picked to win the division. So let's not pretend like the Falcons were a slouch coming into this game. Now, obviously, we might have exposed some questions about a guy named Michael Penix, but at the same time, now it's time to start building on this win, this momentum, and this opportunity. And not only that, seeing what other guys are going to step up to the plate. We honestly thought Hunter Renfrow might be that guy and step up in the wide receiver room. We thought a guy like Cam Jackson might be able to make early impacts, and he might have to, given the injuries to some of our offensive linemen. And now, obviously, the infusion of guys like Lathan Ransom, Princely, and Nick Scorton. I think the pass rush genuinely looked measurably better. Like, they may have not put up anything in the sacks column or anything that you really want to write home about, but man, they pressured it in the way that I thought they would. I thought that the whole goal of the defense was to shrink the field. Get Trevon Morgan in the box, get Latham in the box, get the pass rush going, so this way you can shrink it and limit those deep balls, those gash plays like Canales talked about earlier. The reason why we lost the first game was a gash 70-yard run. Other than that, the defense played not too bad. It was the offense that was struggling in that game. Same thing in week 2. And to be honest, the offensive woes continue, but man, the defense played truly lights out. So that's something that can cover up that offensive woe or those offensive issues. Again, offense was still able to do something, but I'm expecting them at some point to do a 27-3 win or 27-14 win where the offense is the one really going out there and just dominating. So I'm still waiting for that one.
The Patriots for you?
I just have a lot of respect for Coach Vrabel. I know that he's going to have his guys ready to play good fundamental football. Other than a couple of turnovers last week from the film that I watched, they're playing really sound football. And I know that's what he's going to bring to that team. I can't wait to dig in more this afternoon, evening, to kind of see specifically what that looks like, But I thought they played the Steelers really tough. And a couple of turnovers, especially one, inside the 5, knocking on the door right there is a big game-changing play.
Yeah, absolutely. And to be honest, this New England team is different. I honestly thought they would be this big run monster team. Guys like Trevion Henderson and Ramondre Stevenson being able to run down the throats of all the Patriots' opponents. But right now, it doesn't look like that's going to be the offense that we get. I very much think it's going to be a pass-heavy one where Kayshon Boutte and guys like that are trying to get involved. Hey, maybe we see a Kyle Williams breakout on their side. And of course, the defense playing at a higher level. It's truly going to be what offense can put points on the board, or what defense can come away with turnovers in the way of the pick 6 from Shaw Smith-Wade that we saw. So when we look at this team moving forward, the Patriots have a lot of opportunity. And of course, they also have a lot of opportunity to, give us our second win, which I really genuinely think we can do. So let's go out there. Let's see what a guy like Tetairoa can do. Let's see if Chuba can run on this defensive line. And let's see what kind of points we can put up offensively. And let's just hope that this defense can keep us in it. Because, again, it's winnable for sure. Either way, I can't wait to see you in the next video. Peace. I really appreciate you making it this far. It helps out the channel, and I cannot thank you enough. Hopefully, one of these other videos are ones that you like as well, but if not, I can't wait to catch you in the next one. My name is Nick, and this has been Roll Coverage.